How's it going, guys? Dynamite here, coming to you as always from the Digital Warfare 24/7 forums, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a guest gameplay by my good buddy Hometurtle. Now, Hometurtle has been so gracious as to allow me to commentate over this video and to maybe point out some things that I would have done differently. Not to say I would have been able to do things perfectly as I describe in the heat of the moment. This is just about as much as me learning some things as it is maybe you guys learning some things and Hometurtle learning some things from this analysis. So the first thing I'm going to notice is right there when he engaged that guy around the corner, he still had 15 rounds left in his MSMC, and instead of just waiting and using those 15 rounds, he tries to reload, and then when he's caught, he doesn't reload cancel out of it. He allows the animation to complete, and he left himself very vulnerable. So one thing I would definitely note is that you should try not to do that. You should try to be aware of how many rounds you have in your clip. Now, what we saw him just do is very good. Instead of engaging right up the middle, he flanked around, ended up killing that sniper. But now what is he going to do? He's sort of just sitting here. He's waiting for his teammates to come off spawn. But his last UAV sweep showed guys around, and sure enough, he goes out of there and he runs right into that guy. It's really important to be the initiator of gunfights in Call of Duty, especially when you have an idea of where the enemies are, like if you know where they're spawning or you know where they are in the minimap. And that's something Jeffrey didn't do very well there. I feel like he should have more actively engaged, and after he delayed, at that point, he still could have probably gotten away with it if he had gone to the edge of the map and then worked around their spawn with his back to the edge of the map and with his direction facing towards where the enemies were spawning over at that flag. Well, not that flag because he's playing kill confirmed, but we see him picking up a nice two-piece here, and he's going to move out into the middle of this open area. And now what is he going to do? He's going to sort of mill around. He's going to call in a UAV, and boom, he gets shot from the left side. Now, he had teammates over on the left side, but they weren't looking up the middle, so Jeffrey really should have been more aware there. Stopping in the middle of the map is never a good thing, especially when it's a wide open area like that. There, I'm not really sure what happened. I feel like that C4 probably should have killed that guy. Maybe Jeffrey could learn to maybe not panic C4 so much, maybe be a little bit more directional with where he throws it, but still, that's pretty similar to what I would have done in that situation. So now we see Jeffrey moving around here. He sees a guy firing behind him, takes him out, and goes over to collect the tag. He actually collects 38 tags in this game out of the 100 needed for the win, so he's definitely doing a disproportionate amount of work for his team. Now we see him moving around the right flank, and he's going to poke out here. He's going to see a couple snipers posted up in those circular buildings over on the side of the infinity pool. He manages to take that guy out, but then he gets sniped. So what's Jeffrey going to do? What he's going to do, and this is an unfortunate mistake that a lot of people make, including myself sometimes, he's frustrated with those snipers. He wants to kill them, so he trades out to his FHJ and swaps it out for the sniper, and he's going to try to counter-snipe him. Now, the people sniping against him have a huge field of view, and he can only see out of this one little sort of ledgeway over the side here. And I believe he's going to actually pick one of these guys off. He is able to get that guy, but as he pokes out here again in just a second, I think you'll see that things don't end up going too well for him. Manages to pick up a two-piece there, but he ignores the guy who was sitting up in the window. And still, Jeffrey's very frustrated. He's pushing back over here. He's going to pick up that sniper again, and he's going to go for it again. This sort of going back for revenge kills is rarely a good idea. You see he picks up a couple people there, but he goes out for the tags and dies. What he probably should have done is pushed up the left side, I think. Just basically not let himself get so distracted. So now Jeffrey's going to be moving down this side. He's going to hang a left over towards their spawn, and he knows the snipers have been posting in here, so that's a good move to get that guy. He starts moving around to their spawn, and there's really nothing he could have done about that. That guy just sitting there behind the doorway, there's not really anything he could have done differently there. That was just bad luck. So now he's pushing out to the middle here, and a enemy calls in a VSAT. Now that means Jeffrey's really going to be able to start doing some work. So he pushes up to engage this guy here, throws another low C4. He probably needs to work on getting those C4s a little bit higher when he throws them. He pre-fires this guy nicely around the corner, which is definitely what you want to be doing when there's a VSAT up. And now he's moving over here. He's got three guys pushing towards him. So he's going to wait for them to come around the corner, but what he doesn't do is move behind cover or go prone or anything like that. Just because an enemy's coming towards you doesn't mean you're automatically guaranteed the kill. So I would have liked to have seen him strafe hard to one side, maybe get behind the edge of the wall a little bit. And here again, you see he's got that planter in front of him, but he's not strafing behind cover and not strafing very hard left and right. In Call of Duty, if you're in a longer range engagement, strafing a little bit will be good because it'll be just enough to throw your enemy's aim off. But at close range, you need to really strafe hard to be able to throw their aim off. And that's something that maybe Jeffrey could benefit from a little more. Instead of just wiggling back and forth, good for long range, maybe strafe a little bit harder. Now here you see him putting shots on that guy as he's running around the corner. It worked out for him there, but that can be a little risky sometimes because if you don't know if you're going to be able to kill someone, you're going to give away your position by shooting them, and that's going to allow them to come back around and engage you. You're going to be tempted, obviously, to go around the side and pick them up, but yeah, consider chasing someone without shooting if you don't think that your first burst is going to be able to finish them off. Obviously, that worked okay for Jeffrey there, but we'll have to see what happens as he continues here. He pushes up into their enemy spawn, and you saw he got a little bit of what I like to call objective tunnel vision there. He's looking at that tag, he's thinking, oh good, I can confirm another tag for my team, and he ignores the sniper that was sitting up in the left-hand window. That's something that I think he could work on a little bit, is maybe not rush so blindly for objectives and after people who have killed him. Basically, I think his awareness is good, and a lot of the routes he runs are good, but it seems like sometimes he lets himself get a little bit distracted, either by players that are playing very defensively that he feels like he needs to sort of root out of their camping spots, or if there's a tag out in the middle of the open, he feels like he needs to go and grab that. Maybe just to be a little bit more cautious when things like that present themselves. You see right there as he hip fires that guy, one thing I do really like about Jeffrey's play is he has a very good idea of when it's better to hip fire and when it's better to ADS. You see him going into those close range engagements, and he brings out the hip fire so he can more quickly pivot around his opponents. And since he's not using stock here with the MSMC, that's going to be how he's going to get out of the line of fire at close range. So that's one thing that I would definitely praise Jeffrey for. And now you're going to see him really go into town in this clip as you see him building his kill streak. And the reason behind that is that he's being very proactive. He's initiating his gunfights. He's predicting where the enemies are going to be. He's looking at his minimap and figuring out, okay, if my teammates are looking this way, then they're probably going to be spawning over here. And there you see he picks up his VSAT, he calls it right in, and now where's he going to make his move? He sees these two people that aren't looking towards him. He engages them. That guy, he doesn't end up killing him, but instead of pressing his fight up the middle towards where the enemies are looking, he once again, as he did earlier, he runs the flank around the right side, and he's going to come up behind these guys. Now he does only have 4 bullets left in his MSMC, so let's see what he does. Instead of trying to kill him with those 4 bullets, he very smartly decides to go with the combat knife there. Now it would have been good if he hadn't had a secondary equip to have actually pulled out the combat knife, because you get faster mobility, more lunge, and several other advantages from it, but he had a launcher as his secondary equip, so he couldn't exactly do that. Now here he's going to get the hang of tossing a nice high C4, at least I thought he was. That might be further on in the gameplay. That might be a different gameplay actually that I'm talking about. But you can see his Warthog is going to be up doing work. He's going to be confirming tags left and right. He's basically won the game at this point for his team. He's been the dominant factor, calling in that VSAT, calling in that Warthog, confirming those kills. And now he can basically just sit back and play out the rest of the game. If I were to evaluate Jeffrey's overall play, here are some of the things I would talk to him about. First of all, he runs really smart flanks, but he needs to not let himself get provoked into running the same routes over and over again, like those snipers who were just sitting there were kind of aggravating him. He needs to strafe a little bit more in gunfights, harder in close quarters, and then less obviously at longer range. He also needs to make much better use of cover and needs to go prone or dodge behind cover if enemies are coming towards him. I'd say that he needs to be a little bit more proactive in engaging in gunfights. I think that comes along with his confidence. Like when he starts doing better, he starts engaging a little bit more aggressively. If you can predict enemy positions, that's something you really need to do, because the person that attacks first is usually going to get shots on the person first, or going to get vision of the person first, and that makes all the difference in a Twitch shooter like Call of Duty. I would also say that he needs to maybe visually check dark areas on his mini-map a little bit better. Like when he's flanking around, he needs to actually turn his head or turn his vision and check. I would say good balance of ADS and hipfire usage. Avoid that tunnel vision I was talking about where you focus on the objective. Avoid panic C4 and take a little bit more time to place it properly. And one other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is maybe he could learn to halo jump around corners a little bit better. Well, at all. I don't think I saw him do it in this game, but that might give him more of an advantage as well. So hopefully you guys have learned something. I knew I learned something from watching this guy's gameplay. And hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in to Tactical Tuesdays, guys. I'm out.